Several months have passed since Ash left Pallet with Pikachu after saying goodbye to Brock and Misty. With his partner by his side, he continues his journey to become a Pokémon Master. Recently, his journey has led him back to the Sinnoh region. He's here to celebrate the annual Hisui festival. He gets off the boat and begins exploring the festival, taking in the sights and all the ways that people are paying respect and homage to Sinnoh's history. As he walks through the festival, he comes across a sign that's advertising a big battle tournament. The tournament will be held in 2 days and says that the winner of the tournament will have the chance to battle a premier Pokémon trainer who's recently taken the Sinnoh region by storm. As he finishes reading about the event, Barry and Palmer walk over to greet Ash. Barry is as energetic as ever and mentions how he'll be entering the tournament as well. He wants to see how he stacks up against the new trainer. Palmer says he's the one who organized the event and will be refereeing the matches. This reminds Ash of the Twin Leaf Festival he attended with Barry and Palmer all those years ago. Barry then mentions that the trainer they seek to battle only recently showed up in Sinnoh. Reports say he descended from Mount Coronet in older-looking clothes. At first, people mistook him for Cynthia, but despite using a few Pokémon similar to her, he's been winning battles with strange Pokémon. One he uses frequently seems to be Hisui and Arcanine. This just gets Ash completely fired up to battle a trainer with rare and strong Pokémon. Palmer then chimes in saying he's easily defeated all 8 of Sinnoh's gym leaders in a quest to get stronger and even defeated the entirety of the Elite Four, but couldn't defeat Cynthia. It said he struggled most against Flint despite defeating him. Ash is shocked and also intrigued that this mysterious trainer has this much strength if he even defeated Flint, as Ash recalls how powerful his Pokémon were the last time he battled him. But this just excites him even more. They head back to the main area of the festival and find that Cynthia is once again hosting the area where trainers can catch Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott in the old-style Pokeballs, but they also reunite with Dawn as she's helping assist Cynthia and also helping teach trainers about Sinnoh's past alongside Cynthia. Ash tells Dawn and Cynthia about the battle event, and Dawn says she'll be entering as well, while Cynthia will also be acting as referee for the matches alongside Palmer. Ash then runs off to the Pokémon Center to get the Pokémon he plans on using for the event. At the Pokémon Center, Ash gets in contact with Professor Oak so he can send him a few Pokémon. He then calls Professor Kukui for a Pokémon as well, but as Kukui ends the call, he hears a strange sound in the distance, but it sounds pleasantly familiar. A strange light fades from the sky and the Pokémon moves towards Kukui. Kukui steps outside to greet the Pokémon and smiles. Ash then calls Professor Sycamore to have him transfer a Pokémon as well. Professor Sycamore says it's been a while since he's seen it, but sightings of it have been discussed around the outskirts of Lumio City. Sensing Ash's bond despite the distance, this Pokémon knows it's being summoned and begins heading to Professor Sycamore. After making all the necessary preparations, later that day, Ash finally has assembled his team of 6 that he plans to use to defeat this highly skilled trainer. But the reunion is quickly interrupted as the sound of a storm brewing can be heard from inside the Pokémon Center. But something doesn't feel quite right. Lucario emerges from its Pokéball sensing the impending storm. It runs outside and Ash chases after it. But when they get outside, they see something quite alarming. Ash regroups with Cynthia, Dawn, and Barry while Palmer makes sure citizens are safe and calm. Ash asks what on earth that storm is, and Cynthia says it's no storm, but a space-time distortion. She says in ancient Hisui they were more common, but not too much is known about them, and what causes them isn't fully understood even after all this time. Not wanting anyone to get hurt and eager to see what's causing this anomaly, Ash says he should investigate it, but before anyone can make a decision, Lucario senses a presence coming from the space-time distortion and begins running towards it. Ash immediately chases after Lucario. They both run towards the distortion, and by the time they get there, it is already finished forming. This massive field of energy is in a concentrated space. They can't see within the distortion, but again, Lucario senses something from within it. Lucario gives Ash a determined look, and Ash understands Lucario's feelings through their aura bond. Trusting Lucario, Ash and Lucario decide to enter the distortion. Cynthia, Dawn, and Barry arrive on the scene, but it's too late. Ash and Lucario have already entered the distortion. The space inside feels off, but it feels still. It's dark, seemingly empty. Nothing is really happening inside, but then the darkness sets in further until they are enveloped in it. A light begins to glow and it's so bright it's almost blinding. The light consumes them, and when they awake, the distortion is gone. The sky is clear, the weather is calm, and while they're not entirely sure what happened, they decide it would be best to head back to the festival. As they continue walking, they notice they haven't seen many people yet and that they haven't even seen sight of the festival. They walk a little further and hear a commotion in the distance. They run towards it and see a man defending a Pokémon from some angry townsfolk, but they're dressed quite differently than he's used to seeing. The Pokémon is also one he's never seen before, but Ash can't help but notice how it bears resemblance to Scyther. The Pokémon is being defended by a man in a unique outfit. He's able to calm down the townsfolk and help the Pokémon. Still angry though, the Pokémon goes to attack the man, but his Lapras comes out to defend him. Ash is shocked by this, and even more intrigued by how rough and tough his Lapras looks compared to his and others he's seen on his travels. He witnesses the man catch the Pokémon and the townsfolk leave the area. Ash runs over to the man and praises him for being able to keep the situation under control. He tells him the Pokémon he caught looks really cool and that he's never seen it before. The man thanks him and tells him that it's called Kleavor. But before the conversation can continue, a wild alpha Ursaring spots them and attacks in a rampage. Rather than fight it, Lucius advises simply running away from it and seeking refuge. Ash agrees and the two escape. Sunset is fast approaching and Lucius suggests setting up camp for the night so they can rest. They gather some firewood and berries and fruit for dinner and continue their conversation from earlier. Ash officially introduces himself and Pikachu as his partner, saying he's from Pallet Town in the Kanto region. The man introduces himself as Lucius. Ash asks about Kleavor again, curious as to what kind of Pokémon it is. Lucius says it's the first one he's encountered, but it's very strong and enduring. He states it's the evolution of Scyther. Ash is shocked by this as he only knows that Scyther can evolve into Scizor. Lucius states that here in Hisui, certain Pokémon can attain different forms or evolutions due to the environment being so different. Ash then recalls learning about Hisuian Pokémon from Cynthia, but remembers that Kleavor was never mentioned. He pulls out his Pokédex and looks up info on Kleavor. Lucius is shocked by his strange device, stating that he's never seen anything like it. Putting two and two together, Ash realizes that the space-time distortion must have sent him and Lucario back in time, to the time when Sinnoh was still referred to as Hisui. Ash explains to Lucius how he got here, and Lucius is astounded by this. He says that in his quest to find Kleavor, he's seen a few distortions himself. Lucius comments how the future must be quite wondrous, filled with so many cool inventions and people. Ash asks why he was searching for Kleavor in the first place. Lucius explains how he's traveling the world, assembling a team of Pokémon to help him find a place called Laqua. Kleavor was actually the last Pokémon he needed to add to his team. He states he's been to many regions like Hisui, Galar, and Hooui. It's his dream to find Laqua, and he'll do it alongside the best team of some quite unique Pokémon. Ash comments that him befriending all these Pokémon and traveling the world is similar to his dream to be a Pokémon master, that he wants to meet and befriend every kind of Pokémon there is. They feel they have a shared outlook on life and on what it means to be a Pokémon trainer. Ash enthusiastically asks if he can have a full battle against Lucius tomorrow since he's just completed his team. Lucius excitedly accepts the challenge as it will help him prepare his Pokémon for the journey that lies ahead. They both get some rest, eagerly awaiting tomorrow's battle. The next day, Ash and Lucius wake up decently early, and after fully waking up, they head to an empty field nearby to have their full battle. Lucius leads with Lapras while Ash leads with Pikachu. Pikachu starts with a powerful Thunderbolt, while Lapras fires back with Ice Beam. The two moves collide and cancel each other out. Lapras fires off Hydro Pump, but Pikachu dodges with Quick Attack. It lands a direct hit on Lapras. Lucius then has Lapras use Mist to conceal itself. This puts pressure on Ash and Pikachu since they don't know where Lapras will attack from. Lapras fires off Ice Beam, striking Pikachu. Unable to see the attacks, Pikachu is also then struck with Hydro Pump. Ash knows this is getting bad and that Pikachu will lose if it just keeps getting hit with attacks. Lucius then commands Lapras to fire off Hyper Beam while in the mist, but then Ash gets an idea. Despite not being able to see well, Ash has Pikachu spin and use Thunderbolt to create a Thunder counter shield to defend against Hyper Beam. This blows back the attack and also strikes Lapras, but it's still concealed in the mist, so while Ash heard it, he still can't see it. Ash recalls Pikachu and sends out Lucario. Lapras fires off Ice Beam, but Lucario dodges with Double Team. Ash and Lucario then begin to align their aura and get in sync. Ash tells Lucario to focus in on Lapras' aura to find its location. Lapras continues firing off Ice Beam, but using its heightened senses, Lucario is able to dodge the attacks and then it fires off Aura Sphere and lands a direct hit on Lapras. The mist begins to fade and Lapras struggles to remain standing. Lucius comments on the cleverness of Ash's strategy, and Ash states that this same kind of tactic helped him defeat a powerful opponent in a tournament in Galar a while back. Lapras manages to stay standing, but it's taken heavy damage. Ash and Lucario charge in with Bullet Punch, and Lapras counters with Hydro Pump. Lucario dodges by jumping above it, but Lucius was expecting that. With Lucario in midair, Lucius orders a close-range Hyper Beam, which sends Lucario flying back. That was a serious blow to Lucario. Ash comments that this is the toughest Lapras he's ever seen. But with Lapras needing time to recharge, Ash orders a final Aura Sphere that hits Lapras and leaves it unable to battle. Ash has scored the first win of the match. Lucius then sends out Arboliva and it towers over Lucario. Ash is shocked by the size of this Pokémon, but also amazed that it's another Pokémon he's never seen before. He's super excited to battle it. He pulls out his Pokédex, but Dexter doesn't have any information on this Pokémon. Lucius informs him that this is Arboliva, a grass normal type from the Paldea region. It's specifically known as a Titan Pokémon, which explains its large stature. Ash thinks Paldea must be pretty cool to have a Pokémon like this. Ash stays with Lucario and uses Aura Sphere. It's a direct hit, but it seemingly does nothing. Arboliva fires back with Leaf Storm and Lucario endures the hit. Ash realizes that this Pokemon seems to be stronger than Lapras since it took Aura Sphere head-on. As they stare down Titan Arboliva, Ash was reminded of how he felt when he stood before B's Gigantamax Machamp. With that in mind, Ash reveals his Keystone, and this intrigues Lucius. His Keystone resonates with Lucario, and Lucario undergoes Mega Evolution. This amazes Lucius, as this is his first time witnessing Mega Evolution, as he's only ever heard rumors about it. Ash tells him he learned how to Mega Evolve with Lucario from his friend in the Kalos region. Ash has Lucario charge in, and Arboliva launches Seed Bomb at Lucario. Lucario is able to dodge the incoming projectiles and use the force of the explosion to jump up towards Arboliva. Ash commands Lucario to fire off a giant Aura Sphere, and this makes Arboliva begin to sway off balance. It recomposes itself, and as Lucario falls to the ground, Lucius orders it to use Earth Power. Ash has Lucario use Double Team, thinking he can dodge the attack. But Arboliva's Earth Power is so powerful with a wide damage range that the attack hits every Shadow Clone and Lucario, causing big damage. Lucario fires off Aura Sphere again, but Arboliva destroys it with Dazzling Gleam, and then Lucario tanks the attack. Lucario then charges in with Bullet Punch, but Arboliva releases its natural oils, which causes the field to become slippery. Ash tells Lucario to watch out, and Lucario is able to avoid the oil slicks. Arboliva fires off a Seed Bomb, and Lucario intercepts with Aura Sphere. In the middle of the explosion, Lucario jumps up, charging another giant Aura Sphere. With no time to react, Arboliva takes the full force of the giant Aura Sphere and falls to the ground. Arboliva is unable to battle. Lucius is now down 2 Pokemon. Lucius is really enjoying himself though. It's been a fun battle so far. He tells Ash that him and his Pokemon have quite some strong bonds. But then, Lucius reveals his next Pokemon. He throws his Pokeball up and a fierce cry is heard. From the sky descends Moltres. But this Moltres is different. This is Galarian Moltres. Ash has never seen this Pokemon and is super excited by it. Its presence and demeanor is quite foreboding and malevolent. He says it's starkly different to the Moltres he's battled before with Infernape. Moltres begins with Dark Pulse and Lucario counters with Aura Sphere, but it beats back the Aura Sphere and Lucario dodges it. Forgetting that the oil slicks are still on the ground, Lucario slips and falls to the ground, its body now covered in oil. With Lucario off balance, Lucius commands a powerful Sky Attack. Rather than force Lucario to regain its balance, it takes a knee and Ash orders Reversal. Moltres charges forth with Sky Attack and Lucario attempts to counter with Reversal. But despite the attacks colliding head-on, Lucario is overwhelmed by Sky Attack and reverts to its regular form. Unable to battle, Ash realizes that Moltres is a powerful threat, but before he can think of what to do next, Lucius returns Moltres. Ash is confused by this, and Lucius sends out Kleavor. Pikachu reminds Ash not to get off his game, and he nods in agreement. Ash then sends out Duska Lycanroc. Lucius is intrigued by this different form of Lycanroc, and now the match has become a rock-type showdown. Kleavor starts with X-Scissor, and Lycanroc meets it head-on with Accelera. The two moves collide with great force, causing an explosion. Both Pokemon then use Stone Edge, and the rocks collide and cancel each other out. Ash then has Lycanroc use Accelerock to get in close, and then tells it to use Fire Fang. It's a direct hit, but this was part of Lucius's plan. With Lycanroc being so close, Lucius has Kleavor use Stone Axe to strike Lycanroc. That was a big hit. Lucius immediately follows this up with Sword Stance. The two Pokemon stare intensely at each other. Lycanroc goes for Accelerock and Kleavor counters with Stone Axe. But Lycanroc jumps up above the rocks and strikes down with Fire Fang. Kleavor quickly defends with X-Scissor, but the flames still hurt. They make some distance between them and Kleavor is left with a burn. Lycanroc uses Stone Edge and Kleavor defends with Stone Axe, but it delivers the move with less power due to its burn, so it's hurt by rock debris. So Lucius uses Sword Dance once again. Lycanroc uses Stone Edge and Kleavor barrels through each stone pillar using X-Scissor. After breaking the last pillar, Lycanroc appears to be gone, but it's actually above Kleavor. As it falls towards Kleavor, Ash calls for Fire Fang, and Kleavor defends with X-Scissor and knocks back Lycanroc. With both Pokemon running out of steam, Lucius commands one final X-Scissor, and Ash calls for counter. The two Pokemon collide head-on in a huge explosion. When the dust settles, both Pokemon are standing. They then give each other a look of approval of each other's strength and then both collapse to the ground. The battle ends in a draw. Both trainers return their Pokemon and give each other acknowledgement of their strength. The battle continues as Lucius calls upon Moltres once again. Ash asks Pikachu to get back into the battle. Moltres begins with Dark Pulse and Pikachu counters with Thunderbolt. The two moves cancel each other out. Moltres uses Dark Pulse again and Pikachu dodges with Quick Attack, striking Moltres. Keeping up the pressure, Pikachu quickly uses Thunderbolt. Moltres takes good damage, but shakes it off. Moltres charges up Sky Attack and Ash has Pikachu dig in its heels. He says to wait for the right moment. Moltres charges towards Pikachu and as it closes in, Ash has it use Electro Web to try and trap Moltres, but it doesn't work and Moltres rips through the web. But the electricity shocks Moltres and lessens the impact of the attack. Pikachu is still blown back. As it lies on the ground, Lucius orders Moltres to use Hurricane. As the Hurricane closes in on Pikachu, Ash begs Pikachu to get up and continue fighting. Not wanting to give up, it stands tall and fires off a blast of electricity, igniting its fighting spirit. Ash then has Pikachu charge towards the Hurricane, This shocks Lucius, and he wonders what Ash could be thinking. Ash has Pikachu jump up and spin towards the hurricane. As he spins, the swirling force of the hurricane causes Pikachu to orbit around the hurricane all the way up until Pikachu soars upwards and is above the hurricane, sustaining 0 damage. Ash says it's been a while since they've used that move, but that's the best it's ever worked. With Pikachu high above Moltres, Ash orders a powerful Iron Tail that gains power and momentum as Pikachu falls towards Moltres. The attack lands and knocks Moltres to the ground. But Pikachu is starting to get exhausted now. Just when Ash thinks Moltres has been defeated, it slowly rises from the ground, similar to a mighty phoenix. Lucius comments that Moltres' fighting spirit has been ignited as well. Moltres has a fiery determination in its eyes. Lucius commands Moltres to use Fiery Wrath. A red light envelops the area along with a dark aura. Pikachu attempts to dodge with Quick Attack, but the move not only beats back Pikachu, but also drains Pikachu of some of its energy. Moltres lets out a mighty cry, and Lucius commands another Sky Attack. Pikachu is barely able to stand, but it's not giving up yet. As Moltres flies in with Sky Attack, Ash commands Thunderbolt to intercept the attack. But Moltres flies right into the attack and beats back the Thunderbolt and strikes Pikachu directly, inflicting massive damage. This final attack leaves Pikachu unable to battle. Ash recalls Pikachu and thanks it for such a great battle. He says the rest of the team will take care of this. He comments that legendary Pokémon sure are strong, but he knows him and his Pokémon can win. As he grabs his next Pokéball, curiosity falls upon Lucius. Ash pulls out a peculiar Pokéball and says that this Pokémon is the one that will turn the tide of the battle. He then sends out Naganadel. Ash had originally asked for Incineroar, but when Kukui had a surprise visit from Naganadel, he thought it best to send it instead of Incineroar. Lucius has never seen a Pokémon like this, and Ash tells him that it's a type of Pokémon known as an Ultra Beast, and that they come from other worlds. He was lucky enough to have a fateful encounter with this one when it was a Poipole. Lucius thinks how Pokémon never cease to amaze him. He leaves Moltres in the battle. Understanding how powerful Moltres is, Ash thinks to himself that he needs to watch out for Fiery Wrath. He states how it looks oddly similar to when Moltres used Burn Up back in Kanto near Oak's lab. Both trainers call out their attacks, with Moltres firing off Dark Pulse and Naganadel firing off Dragon Pulse. The attacks collide and create a huge explosion. Through the smoke, however, Naganadel fires off Sludge Bomb, scoring a direct hit on Moltres. Moltres recovers and uses Hurricane. Ash tries to have Naganadel fly around the hurricane to avoid the attack, but it gets caught up in the hurricane. Naganadel begins to take heavy damage. Concerned by this, Ash reacts quickly and has Naganadel use Thunderbolt from within the hurricane. This causes the hurricane to dissipate. Ash calls for X-Scissor and Lucius commands Sky Attack. Naganadel charges at Moltres, and the two Pokémon engage in an aerial showdown. Each Pokémon seems to be evading the other, but Moltres gets the edge and strikes down Naganadel. With Naganadel recovering, Lucius commands Fiery Wrath again. Knowing that Ash can't let the same thing happen to Naganadel, he has to think of a way to defend against it. In that moment, Ash thinks of the perfect counter. As Moltres uses Fiery Wrath, Ash tells Naganadel to spin and use Dragon Pulse. Naganadel summons its strength and uses Dragon Pulse to create a Dragon Counter Shield. This completely blocks Fiery Wrath and protects Naganadel. Ash commands X-Scissor and this lands a direct hit. With Moltres wavering, Ash tells Naganadel to use a Twin Dragon Pulse against Moltres. Moltres fails to react in time and takes a devastating blow. The legendary bird is unable to battle. Ash is ecstatic as the last time Naganadel battled a legendary Pokémon, it lost. Naganadel cheers upon its victory and smiles. Wanting to save Naganadel for later, he returns it. Both trainers give each other a strong look of acknowledgement towards the other. Lucius states that Moltres was just the beginning. He takes out his next Pokéball and sends out Entei next. However, Ash immediately notices that this Entei doesn't look anything like the normal Entei he's ever encountered before. Even so, Ash realizes he's up against another legendary Pokémon. He then recalls a similar experience from the Sinnoh League when Tobias had multiple legendary Pokémon. He feels the same level of intensity and heat here that he did back then. Believing this version of Entei should still be a fire type, Ash reaches for his next Pokéball. He sends out Greninja. Lucius can feel a different presence from this Pokémon and can just tell it's super strong. Ash gives Greninja a look of determination and says, "Let's give it our all." Ash begins with Water Shuriken and Lucius uses Burning Bulwark. This defensive move renders Water Shuriken completely ineffective as the water evaporates. It switches to Dragon Rush and Greninja intercepts with Aerial Ace. But Entei overwhelms Greninja and knocks it back. It charges in with Dragon Rush again, but Greninja evades with Double Team and then strikes with Water Shuriken from above. Entei uses Stomping Tantrum and Greninja dodges with Double Team. Entei uses Stomping Tantrum again and Greninja uses Double Team to dodge. However, this time Stomping Tantrum is far stronger since it missed the previous time. This destroys the Shadow Clones and forces Greninja to block with its arms. Greninja fires off Water Shuriken again, but Entei defends against the attack. Realizing Ash will need his full power to win this, he decides it's time for him and Greninja to get stronger. They get in sync and Greninja takes on the ash-greninja form. Lucius is shocked by this transformation as it's completely different from when he used Mega Evolution with Lucario. He's never seen anything like it. Greninja rushes forward with Double Team and Entei unleashes Raging Fury. Ash notices it looks similar to Flare Blitz but much stronger. Entei charges forward with Raging Fury and destroys all the Shadow Clones. From the Pillar of Smoke, Greninja emerges and unleashes a powerful Water Shuriken. Entei attempts to guard with Burning Bulwark, but the power Greninja now possesses causes Water Shuriken to still do some damage. Then Greninja darts in and lands multiple attacks in quick succession with Aerial Ace. Entei may be getting tired, but it responds quickly and unleashes Raging Fury from close range, giving Greninja no time to evade the attack. Greninja sustains good damage, but remains standing. Entei uses Dragon Rush, and Greninja meets it head-on with an enlarged Water Shuriken. They collide with great force, and neither one is backing down. Once there's an opening, Greninja takes the Water Shuriken and slams it into Entei, aggressively sending it back. This is Ash's chance to end this battle. He has Greninja create his giant Water Shuriken, and Lucius is overwhelmed by this immense strength and power. He commands one final attack with Raging Fury, and Entei charges in to clash with Greninja. Entei and the Shuriken collide head-on in a massive explosion. After the smoke is cleared, Greninja stumbles but remains standing. As for Entei, it's exhausted and collapses to the ground, unable to battle. Lucius is now down to his final Pokémon, but Ash knows it'll be coming out fresh since it hasn't battled yet. Ash may have 3 Pokémon left, but 2 of them have already sustained heavy damage. It's not time for him to get comfortable. Wanting to let Greninja get some rest for a bit, he returns it to its Pokéball. Lucius acknowledges Ash's great strength and his fantastic bonds with his Pokémon. Today, he has seen some of the most incredible Pokémon he's ever encountered, but everything changes with this last Pokémon. Lucius states that his final Pokémon is his absolute strongest and has been with him on his journey the longest. He throws up his Pokéball and from it emerges a black Rayquaza. Ash is astonished by this. He's never heard of any trainer skilled enough to capture Rayquaza. Ash looks on with awe and a bit of fear as he questions if him and his Pokémon can defeat this legendary dragon. Ash may be in the lead with 3 Pokémon, but the real battle begins now. As Ash stares down Rayquaza, he begins to feel nervous, but he recomposes himself and says he can do this with his Pokémon. It won't be easy, but they can win. Ash grabs his Beast Ball again and sends Naganadel back out. Ash starts off with Dragon Pulse, and Lucius meets that head-on by having Rayquaza use Dragon Pulse too. The moves collide and create a violent explosion. Naganadel takes this opportunity to get above Rayquaza and then fires off Sludge Bomb. A few hits make contact, and Rayquaza dodges the rest and then fires off Dragon Pulse. Naganadel dodges it, but just barely. It flies down to the ground, and Rayquaza uses Dragon Pulse again. Naganadel is able to evade the attack and then fires off Thunderbolt. Lucius pulls out a surprise and meets the attack with Overheat. Ash didn't know Rayquaza could learn that move. Naganadel struggles to hold back the flames, and eventually Thunderbolt is overpowered and Naganadel takes damage. It's just barely hanging on. Lucius commands Rayquaza to use Draco Meteor, and it rains fire on the battlefield. Ash, knowing that he has to go for broke, commands Naganadel to use the Twin Dragon Pulse technique again and spin to use the Dragon Counter Shield. Naganadel isn't sure this will work, but Ash convinces it to trust him. He then commands Naganadel to fly headfirst into the oncoming onslaught. As the meteors rain down, Naganadel is able to break through each meteor thanks to its Dragon Counter Shield. But each meteor still causes damage. It isn't completely protected. It flies up with all its might and only just barely lands a hit on Rayquaza. It falls to the ground and Naganadel is unable to battle. Ash thanks it for a well-fought battle and tells it to get a well-deserved rest. He then sends Greninja back out into the battle. Greninja begins with Double Team. Rayquaza uses Overheat to burn up all the Shadow Clones, and Greninja slices through the flames with its Water Shuriken. Rayquaza launches Draco Meteor, and this time Ash is going to need a different strategy. He recalls his battle at the Kalos League in his gym battle against Grant, and has Greninja dodge the incoming meteors. Greninja then uses the Draco Meteor climb to use the meteors as jumping platform to reach all the way up to Rayquaza and land a brutal barrage with Ice Punch. Greninja lands to the ground, seemingly reaching its limit soon, and Rayquaza falls to the ground. There's a moment of silence at first. Has Ash won? Then Lucius smirks, and Rayquaza rises from the ground and flies high up into the clouds far beyond Ash and Lucius's vision. Ash is confused as to what Rayquaza is doing. But then he sees a green flash from the sky, and Rayquaza begins barreling down through the clouds. As it's cloaked in green draconic energy, Rayquaza unleashes its signature move, Dragon Ascent. Ash tells Greninja to put everything they've got into this final attack, and he commands Greninja to use Water Shuriken. This Water Shuriken is the biggest and strongest Ash has ever seen and that Greninja has ever created, even sporting a darker color than before. As Rayquaza flies towards Greninja, it throws the ultimate Water Shuriken with all its might at Rayquaza, and the mighty dragon collides head-on with it. The power and force of the Shuriken is holding Rayquaza back at first, struggling to break through, but then Ash's eyes widen as Rayquaza overpowers the Water Shuriken and breaks through it. In a blitz of light, Rayquaza slams into Greninja, devastating the battlefield. After that intense impact, Greninja is unable to battle. Ash thanks Greninja for doing its very best and tells it to take a nice, long rest. Ash adjusts his hat and tells Lucius that he's having a great time battling him. He's seen some incredible Pokémon Pokémon today, Pokémon he's never seen before in all his years of traveling. He says Rayquaza sure is a powerful Pokémon, but he's still got one Pokémon left and they're going to win this battle. With everything he's got, he throws up his Pokéball and sends out his old friend, Charizard. Charizard lets out a mighty roar and stares down the powerful dragon, Rayquaza. Charizard loves a fierce opponent and is ready for battle. Ash looks at Charizard and says with all they've been through, they can win this battle. Charizard nods in agreement. Lucius can sense the rich history between Ash and Charizard and says that they should both give it their all and to do their best. The final showdown comes down to Rayquaza versus Charizard. Charizard starts with Flamethrower and Rayquaza matches that with Overheat. Ash recalls his experience with Overheat and knows that the move loses power the more it's used. So this clash of flames ends in a draw. Ash tells Charizard to get in close. As Charizard flies towards Rayquaza, it fires off Dragon Pulse. Charizard is able to dodge and fires off a close-range Flamethrower. As Charizard flies away, Rayquaza hits it with its tail, which sends it spiraling to the ground. Charizard recovers just in time and flies back up. Charizard uses Flamethrower and Rayquaza dodges the attack. Ash keeps up the pressure and tells Charizard to keep using Flamethrower as it flies upward. So Rayquaza counters with Dragon Pulse. Their moves collide and Charizard flies through the smoke so Rayquaza can't see it. Ash commands Charizard to use Dragon Tail and this attack slams back Rayquaza. Rayquaza fires off Draco Meteor and this time the attack is overwhelmingly strong. But Ash needs to react and tells Charizard to spin around and use Flamethrower to create a flame counter shield. As the meteors rain down, Ash has Charizard use Flare Blitz in tandem with Flamethrower to strengthen his defense. The meteors are destroyed one by one, but the counter shield isn't enough to block all the damage as two meteors strike Charizard. But Rayquaza is also struck by the flames. Despite the two hits, the damage is kept to a minimum thanks to Ash combining his moves. Lucius calls Rayquaza to use Dragon Ascent, hoping to finish the battle in one fell swoop. Ash knows what's coming, and has Charizard meet Rayquaza head-on with Flare Blitz. Both Pokemon barrel towards each other and then Ash has Charizard use Flamethrower just before impact to lessen the damage from Dragon Ascent. The two Pokemon are at a standoff, neither one letting up. The impact of the two moves creates a massive explosion, sending both Pokemon flying backwards. Both Pokemon have taken immense damage up to this point, and Ash and Lucius both know they're going to run out of steam soon. Lucius commands Rayquaza to use Overheat and Charizard counters with Flamethrower, overpowering Rayquaza this time. Charizard takes a knee and Lucius uses this moment as an opportunity to charge up one final Dragon Ascent. Rayquaza takes to the sky and harnesses its power for one final attack. Ash looks at Charizard and tells it that this is it. Everything comes down to these last few attacks. Charizard ignites its fiery spirit which manifests in the flame on its tail. It's in this moment that Ash remembers every major battles he's had with Charizard and how much they've grown on their journey since he was just a Charmander. They've won so many battles, which gives Ash the perfect idea of how to win this battle. Ash commands one final supercharged Flare Blitz. Charizard thinks the same thing as before might happen, but Ash says to trust him, and Charizard flies upward full speed towards Rayquaza. Rayquaza finishes charging its power and unleashes Dragon Ascent. The two Pokemon are on a collision course. As Rayquaza gets closer, Ash yells to Charizard to fly slightly to the side to dodge the attack and then quickly fly downward. He yells to Charizard to use Flaming Seismic Toss with everything he's got. Charizard grabs Rayquaza while using Flare Blitz and the flames engulf them both. Charizard has Rayquaza locked in its grip and due to the high speed and velocity they're traveling at, neither Pokemon can stop at this point. Lucius looks on in awe at this incredible display of power, and Ash looks on with complete pride and confidence in his Charizard. Both Pokemon slam devastatingly hard into the ground, creating an earth-shattering explosion. Rubble, smoke, and debris are everywhere. The smoke lingers for a bit and then clears, revealing both Pokemon lying on the ground. Lucius and Ash can't believe the results of the impact. They're unsure which Pokemon will get up first. Then suddenly, Rayquaza begins to move and manages to get up briefly, albeit struggling greatly. But Rayquaza soon falls back down to the ground in exhaustion. Then Charizard manages to get to its feet and stand tall, letting out a roar. Lucius acknowledges that he's lost the battle, and Ash is overcome with joy after defeating such a powerful trainer. He tells Charizard they actually did it, and Charizard lets out a powerful roar of victory. Lucius returns Rayquaza to its Pokeball and congratulates Ash on his victory. Ash thanks him for giving him the chance to battle him. He's learned so much, and him and his Pokemon are a whole lot stronger now. They agree to get their Pokemon some rest for the rest of the day, although Ash still has no idea how he's getting back home. Lucius says that if he came here through a space-time distortion, then he'll need one to go home. Thankfully for Ash, they have a good chance of one showing up, but they'll have to wait until later as his Pokemon need major rest. Ash agrees and they head into the nearby town for some rest. The next morning, Ash and Lucius head back into the Fieldlands to look for a space-time distortion. At first, about 30 minutes go by and there's not one in sight. Ash begins to think one isn't going to appear, but Lucius says to be patient. Soon after, a space-time distortion does appear and they head to it. It's completely formed by the time they arrive at it. As it's time for Ash to depart, Ash tells Lucius that he hopes he can find Laqua and enjoy it with his Pokémon. As for Ash, Lucius hopes that he'll continue to grow stronger with his Pokémon and continue to travel to meet more Pokémon. As his last piece of wisdom, he tells Ash to never lose the strong bond he shares with his Pokémon, as those are what make us all strong. Ash nods in agreement and they say goodbye as Ash walks into the space-time distortion. Inside, a blinding light appears which sends Ash forward in time back to the present-day Hisui festival. When he arrives back home, it's evening out as the sun is almost done setting. Barry, Dawn, and Cynthia rush over as they're relieved that Ash has finally made it back. They ask if he's okay and what happened. He says he went back in time and got to see Sinnoh in the past for himself. While he was there, he battled this guy named Lucius who wielded a team of 6 incredible Pokémon, one of which was Hisuian named Kleavor. Cynthia marvels at the fact he got to battle a real-life Kleavor. Barry, of course, gets a bit jealous of Ash and says he probably lost and that he would have won easily. Ash answers saying it was one of his most difficult battles, but also one of his best battles he's ever had. Charizard landed the finishing blow against his Rayquaza that won him the match. Everyone is in shock hearing this, but they're happy for Ash and are just glad to see him back. They suggest getting back to the festival since it's getting late, and the battle tournament is going to begin tomorrow with rounds 1 and 2. Barry says he may have beaten a Rayquaza, but he's still going to beat him tomorrow in the tournament. Dawn chimes in saying not if she beats him first. Ash is just excited to see what kinds of trainers and Pokemon he'll be facing tomorrow. Eager for what lies ahead in the tournament, they continue walking towards the festival. But off in the distance, a mysterious trainer has been watching Ash. He wears white garbs with gold accents and has blonde hair. A Pokemon that resembles Arcanine and a Pokemon that resembles Zoroark stand beside him. The man remarks how Ash is friends with Cynthia, the champion. Intrigued that Ash has seen the land of Hisui for himself, he wonders what kind of battle that trainer can give him and his Pokemon. A shadowy aura begins to surround him ever so slightly, and the man looks down at his keystone. He looks forward to the challenge this young man will give him.